Thank you for staying with us, and a warm welcome to those who've just joined us. This is All Angles on eNCA. Now, the National Teachers Union says the Education Department in KwaZulu-Natal has shown its incompetence in its procurement processes. This over its failure to deliver food items for school feeding schemes when schools reopened after the Easter holidays. It's estimated that more than 2 million pupils and more than 5,000 schools were not fed. Let's discuss this further now with Doctor Ngema. He's the General Secretary of the National Teachers Union. Dr. Ngema, thank you very much for your patience. I know I had to cut you short there about an hour ago. Thank you for staying with us and agreeing to come back. Has the department explained why they find themselves in such a devastating situation?
Yes, good day, Maseko, and greetings to your viewers of eNCA. Well, indeed, since the reopening of schools after the Easter holidays, we got received calls from school principals who were so much devastated at the fact that the department has not delivered food items for nutrition for our children. You'll recall that in the past, the suppliers would bring food for the whole week in schools. But this time, the department has opted to appoint one service provider for the entire province to cater for as many as 2.3 million children across the whole province for about 5,400 schools. When we tried to engage with the Department of Education, what they said, they expressed shock. They said they are regretting what happened, and they said to schools that they must use the leftovers of food that was left off before the Easter holidays. As to how much was left, and the question of whether that food is still there in schools, they do not know. And at this point in time, we are calling on them to say they must try to fix this thing, because at the beginning, we do not have an understanding of why did they try to, change the system that was working. Because in our view, this system was not broken. All the time when the supplier is tasked to deliver food and procure food for the school, they will deliver it on time. But they've changed it without any consultation, without giving principals the new idea of what is going to happen. But the whole system of nutrition in the province is in pandemonium.
Do we know the name of the service provider?
Well, at this point in time, we do not know who has been appointed or awarded this tender. But we are aware that this multi-million tender has been granted or given to one service provider. And the rest of the suppliers that have been appointed by the Department of Education, they are only there to collect and supply or deliver food to the school and nothing more. In other words, they just work as dispatch or delivery people. They are not entitled, or should I say authorized, to purchase food for the schools. What is worrying for us as a teachers union is that, this idea of providing food for schools was to deal with the issue of poverty in schools. And you can tell that without this kind of support for our learners, they can't focus well on their studies, because, Maseko, these learners, they come from poverty-stricken communities that are rural, what we call communities, as well as township communities, and they rely entirely on the supply of this food in the school. But unfortunately, because of incompetence that has been displayed, as well as poor governance on the side of the provincial department, these learners has been deprived of this benefit, and therefore even school principals had to close schools early and prematurely so, and dismiss learners so that they can go back to their home or household, because there is no food supply and learners cannot learn on their empty stomachs.
That's the problem that I was going to. I mean, the Education Department on a national level has been taken to court before by civil society organizations because of this very reason of not either procuring properly this food scheme, or not procuring it during COVID-19 times and the national lockdown, because these children rely on that one single meal. Some of them rely on that one single meal the whole day. So essentially what they've created in KZN, the education department in KZN, is a humanitarian crisis.
It is indeed, because remember, like I said earlier, it was, brought in or came in as a result of looking into the issue of dropout in schools, and also looking into the focus rate or concentration rate of learners while they are in school without food. So if you look into poverty-stricken communities, those learners coming from those communities, they find difficulty to provide for their children. So government then came in to assist those children. But unfortunately, with the failure of Department of Education in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, these learners are now deprived of that opportunity, and schools had to close early, like I said earlier. But it's more of a problem with regards to a tendering system, because really, Maseko, how can you expect a single individual, a single what we call a service provider, to provide for over 2 million children across the province? In one district, what I heard yesterday, the new supplier was called to say they must travel a distance of about 80 kilometers to the district office to collect food. And even that, the quantities are just limited. It's just, the situation is just dire. And I can tell you now, at this point in time, because it's close to 1 now, in terms of the time, most of the learners has been dismissed in schools because of lack of food. But also with regards to the cooks in schools, the food handlers, those people have been appointed and started working from the reopening of schools. Those people have been there in schools waiting for food to come so that they can start cooking and preparing for learners. And the food has not been delivered, and they are left there doing nothing. And the question is that we want to pose to the Department of Education, with this so much budget, what happened to the budget that was meant for the first 3 days, even today? There's now that learners are still without food in their schools. What is going to happen also to the food handlers that are remaining in schools waiting for the food to come so that they can start preparing? Because at the end of the day, they came to work, and unfortunately there was nothing to do, nothing to prepare for learners, and they are still waiting in their schools.
Well, it's going to be quite a sad few couple of days for these pupils. Has NATU been told by the Education MEC, Mbali Fraser, at all? Have you been given timelines as to when this will be sorted? It's been since last week, Wednesday. We have started a new week now. Has she given you any timeline?
We are unfortunately in the dark, Maseko. Whenever we try to engage with the Department of Education in the province, they just said that they are busy, but all what they said is that they are dealing with this matter, and they are working hard to restore the procedure that was there before. But in the first place, we are asking a question to say, why did you change it? Because it was not broken, Yeah. So at this point in time, we are calling for the department to say, because even the contracts of those service providers that terminated on the 31st of March, they had an option to extend it for 2 years. They should look also into that, because those people, they had an understanding of how to deal with this issue of providing food in schools, without changing the whole system. But at this point in time, from the side of the department, we have no idea, and they are just saying they are working on this issue, and they are going to resolve it soon. But I can tell you, it's 4th day today of schooling, but learners are still starving.
Unacceptable. Thank you for speaking to us here on eNCA. Yeah, highly unacceptable. Thank you very much for speaking to us here on eNCA, Doctor Ngema, the General Secretary of the National Teachers Union.